Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the Standing Room Only podcast. I am Goose. I am here with Healy, as always. Welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome in. Just want to thank everybody that's been tuning in, that's been downloading, showing some love. We are almost at 1,000 downloads total. This is a mark, an achievement for us, milestone, whatever you want to call it. Downloading is how we see our viewers. I don't know if we mentioned it before. I'm sure we have 100,000 times. Viewing it is cool. We do appreciate the viewers, the clicks, but downloading really is the way to show us that you're watching and you're listening. So we are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are the Standing Room Only podcast. We are on YouTube as well. If you want to watch, get a visual of us and our pretty faces, you could do that. And then we have our own personal accounts as well. I am iGoose with 4 O's. I am on Instagram. I am on Twitter. And then we have Healy.
My social media is the Healy6 on both Twitter and Instagram.
So again, thank everybody for joining us. We have some news. We have semi-big news. I would say more so 3/4 of big news with MLB finally. Healy?
Yeah, baseball is, we're going to say officially back. There's not an official agreement, but finally the Players Association has agreed to terms with Major League Baseball over like getting a season going. It's going to be 60 games. I think what's still left to finalize it is like the health regulation codes and like what's going to go on with Corona and all that. But besides that, the players agreed to the proposal. I think in that proposal, there was, one of the main reasons why the Players Association never went with any of the agreements is because the owners threw in, there's no grievance allowed. So the players could not strike if they agreed to terms. That was a big reason why, like, the collective bargaining agreement, I believe, is next year. And because of the no grievance, if they went with that, they couldn't strike for the collective bargaining agreement next year. They would just pretty much have to go with what was put out there or whatever. So I think the players and the Players Association, they just finally got fed up and they're all right. Yeah, I guess we won't go with the grievance, or we'll go with the grievance. We won't do that for next year. And they want baseball 60 games, which isn't great, but at the same time, it's better than 48.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. I'm glad that they were able to finally come to some sort of consensus and just agree to term 60 games. July 1st is the target for spring training. So we will have a spring training. And they're talking about playing by the end of the month all the way until September, which will have probably the traditional 10-team playoff.
Mm-hmm.
So shortened season, which, I mean, let's be fair. Everybody who says they can't wait for baseball season gets through the first couple months, and there's always that period in which they probably don't really follow all too much, and then they come back to it towards the back end of it. At least that's how I am. I'm guilty of that. But I'm just glad that there is baseball. I'm excited for my White Sox. I'm excited for Chicago sports in general. The Cubs still have a team, and obviously, I think all eyes are on the LA Dodgers and what they're going to do. And it's interesting to see what they propose as far as health concerns, coronavirus. Obviously, we've seen with the NBA and what they're going to do. We don't know as far as where these players are going to play. We don't know if it's going to be a bubble type format like Disney World for the NBA, or if there is going to be any sort of maybe 2 different bubbles or 3 different bubbles in remote, like tropical locations, maybe domes. I'm not sure how that's going to work. That's probably next. We'll probably see that in the next couple of days, I'm sure, considering July 1st is next week.
Carl Ravitch 4 minutes ago, so at 7:29 Central Time, said the deal is done between the MLB Players Association and MLB on health and safety protocols. Game on. There we go. That's what you like to see. I'm waiting for more guys to tweet about it, but Carl Ravitch, he's a good baseball guy. He works with ESPN. If that news is true right there, baseball's back. Everything should be good. And due to how baseball works with like social distancing already, I expect them to play at their home stadiums, maybe without a crowd. We have heard Pritzker say that we're moving pretty, or we're doing pretty well on numbers. So Wrigley and US or guaranteed rate could possibly get like a 20% attendance for each stadium. Will the attendance look different for the White Sox? Not really. It'll just be a normal home game. For the Cubs, it might look a little weird though, with only 20% being allowed.
Yeah, that my feelings are not hurt by that whatsoever. I think I said that last week. A 20%, and the thing is, we'll fill the 20%. So you got to think for us, that's 100% of the 20%. It's a win-win situation for White Sox and their organization and the fans. Um, if there's a 20% fan base allowed, Healy, we're going. I have
I'm going to a
no, I don't
game.
care. I don't care if I'm on the north side. I don't care if I'm on the south side. I'll travel with you somewhere. I'll go to a Milwaukee game if I have to. Uh, that if I can at least get that this year, then my 2020, it still is the worst year that I've ever experienced in my short life. Won't be as bad. I'll to be able to go to a game, maybe have a beer or 2 or 12, 15, I don't know. Um, that'd be pretty cool. That would, that would be really cool, especially with, like you said, the numbers have been they've been getting a little bit better. I know there was a minor spike recently with the whole COVID in certain states, and Illinois isn't looking too bad, especially recently. So, obviously we're starting to see more gyms open up as phase 4 is starting to roll out this weekend. Restaurants, I've already went to an outdoor restaurant. I actually went to 2 already in the past couple weekends, and with how everything is being handled, I would say it's considered safe
Yeah,
according to my standards. And if we can get baseball to jump on board, and I think that's a way too. I mean, it's going to build revenue, which is going to be good. These leagues need that, and I think
yeah,
that's huge. It's one thing to have viewers on ESPN, and I would assume ABC and all these other TV stations are going to be playing the heck out of these sports. NBA, especially, who's going to roll into the playoffs right away, and the NHL and now the MLB. That I think that's huge. It's building revenue, and I know they are one of the biggest corporations or unions in the country. So it's gonna help a little bit for the rest of the country, but I
hmm
mean, at least it'll make us happy too. So at least it'll make me happy.
yeah. And because it's a 60-game season, it's up for grabs. This season is gonna be wild. You said that they are gonna do 10-team, or are they gonna try the expanded playoffs? I think they're
I
doing
from what I
I thought they were
from
doing
what I read, that was
expanded.
a couple. Okay, if they're gonna do expanded, I'm on board with that. This is the season where they should test changes, maybe a DH in the NL as
Yeah,
well. I would appreciate it. I
yeah,
think that would be this is the time to test
yeah.
things.
DH is happening, so that's why I think the expanded playoffs are happening. So
Okay, okay.
that's
Well,
that's gonna be
I'm okay
cool.
with that.
That's gonna be awesome. And like I said, up for grabs for everyone. The Nationals love posting how like 50 games in the season last year, they were like 19-31, and they were tied with the Tigers, and they ended up getting hot, making the playoffs, winning the World Series. You go 19-31, you aren't making it this year.
You're not
You
making
have to play
anything. You're
good
making it
ball.
back home.
And a lot of these teams, they're getting guys back from injury. So that's good. And teams are going to be fresh. You won't really see the fatigue hit this year, but you might have guys, they normally take a little bit to get warmed up and hit that stretch. So we'll have to see how long that takes. It's going to be a little mixture of both. You won't see the fatigue, but you also won't really see guys warm up for until maybe like halfway through the season.
They will be playing 120. Nope. I'm sorry, not 100. They're playing 100 less games, right?
Mhm.
102 less games.
Yeah.
Every game is should have a playoff intensity vibe, like you said.
Yeah.
You can't start the season 19-31 and think you're going to post on Instagram at the end of the season like, look at how he started. It's all about how you finish. Every game is going to count. There's no you really can't afford rest days. Obviously pitchers, it's every 5 games, right? Generally.
Yeah.
Uh some guys, you like to throw in. Some guys you like to throw in off the bench to start, or catchers you like to give a break, like Contreras or whoever, depending on who's pitching too. So now you have to really go out there and determine what is going to work at the end of 60 games versus 162, and that everybody is held responsible for their job, and that's why it's going to feel like October baseball all year, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah. And as well, talking about like breaks or whatever, if someone gets hurt, that's huge.
That's
Missing
huge.
15 games in the regular season normally, missing a month in the regular season, necessarily too bad. But in today's day, that's a lot. I think they're keeping the same DL rules as well. So there might not be a 60-day DL, but they are going with the 10-day DL. That is tough. And
Yeah, I mean they're going to fit 60 games in between the end of July through September. So
yeah.
that's how many games they would probably end up playing, close to maybe a little bit more during
Mm-hmm.
that time frame. So it's not like it's just they took time off and it's right back into it. Um, eh, I mean, this is important. Like you said, if somebody gets hurt, what do you do? Normally if somebody gets hurt at the beginning of the season, you can rehab them and slowly work them back into like a rotation or into a
Mm-hmm.
lineup. Now, there's nothing you could do. You have to hope that that person comes back and is able to either risk it for the biscuit or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be a World Series at the end of this, and I don't care what anybody says. It could be a shortened season, but you're not going to put an asterisk next to the World Series champ of 2020.
No, they all played with the same rules. And another thing I'm excited for, we get to see Mike Trout in his prime at least get 60 games. Not a full season, but oh my, I was devastated with seeing some of these guys not have a season. In some of their primes, some guys are trying to get stats. Like baseball, it's all about those end game numbers, and it could prevent some
Always.
guys from reaching that. Albert
Yep.
Pujols is one. I really wanted him to get 700 home runs. Really did. He is currently, I think it's 60. So Albert Pujols has 656 home runs. He needs 44 more home runs. 2 years left. This year, next year. I don't think he's going to do it anymore. He needs at least, so he needs 44. He needs at least 16-ish if he wants like that final push in his last year to get 700. But 16 and 60 games, I don't see that happening, especially with his production the past few years. That's
He's
really
not.
unfortunate.
Yeah, he's not the machine that he once was. It could happen. We've seen crazier things, right? 44 homer, I wouldn't bet on it. I would bet the under in 2 years, and it's actually you're talking a potential 222 games or 200 and whatever. Uh, it's just not there. There's no.
Yeah.
I mean, it could. I mean, like you said, if he can hit 16 this year, which is very possible. I mean, it's all about baseball. It's streaky. You get hot. I mean, granted, he's pushing. He's got to be close to 40. He's towards the end of his career. So maybe streaky isn't the term you want to use with somebody at his age. But if he does end up getting hot, I just want to see him do well, and I want to see Trout do well, and I want to see the Angels team do well for the simple fact that I want to see Trout win or at least get into a playoff situation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he's had a horrible franchise. He's had some good players that he's played with, but now that he has Joe Madden, who won a World Series recently, I don't know if you remember that.
He's made one with the
He had,
Rays.
yeah, and he's made one with the Rays. Who knows what he can do? It's all about. I mean, he's done so well with working with what he has, and he works around the great talent. I mean, the Angels aren't a bad team. They have O'Shanti. They have a few other
Oshanti.
pieces there.
Otani.
Yeah. Otani, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Otani. Yeah,
Rendon,
and
David
so
Fletcher.
yeah. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see because I mean, anything could happen in 60 games.
And I like there's agreements if COVID happens and affects some players. I think the risk for playing baseball though is less likely by a long shot compared to basketball or football.
Yeah,
So
it's
I think it'll actually play out.
non-contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the spacing between everyone. You're always like far away from everyone. Unless you're in the dugout. You might have masks or but baseball is back. It is official. I'm looking at my timeline. It is awesome. I'm so excited to talk about baseball, current sports, actual stuff happening. This is what I waited for in the podcast. This is what I wanted to talk about. Baseball.
This is what we have been waiting. I know that's why when I started this podcast, I didn't even want to say it. I let you lead after I started off here. I was like, Healy, what is the news? Because I knew I saw the inner happiness that you were just waiting for it. And you know, I'm excited for you. I'm just excited in general right now that we're getting some sports. Baseball, we're getting basketball soon. Football is should probably happen. We'll see, but it's been a long four. I don't even know how many months it's been. 3.5, almost 4 months. So
Oh yeah. Shout out to everyone that's listened because we started this towards the end of like the seasons. We talked about the playoffs for football, getting there for basketball. That never happened. And then baseball never started up. So this podcast started at a weird time. We're trucking through it. Speaking about basketball, there are a few. I think Trevor Ariza is the big name that's being talked about him not playing
yeah,
in these
he wants
games.
to hold out. Yep, he's trying to hold out due to obviously the whole social injustice and what everybody's fighting for today, with the protests against racial violence and you know, like I said before, I don't want to get too much
Mm-hmm.
into it. I do believe that whatever happens between both sides, I will agree with. I do believe that there's a problem in the world, and maybe playing the season out is part of the problem, or maybe it's not.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with anybody and their opinion on it.
Mm-hmm. Did I get the person wrong? There's someone who's sitting out because he's a free agent or he's going to be a free agent. Was that Trevor
Well,
Ariza?
I know Ariza is opting out of the restart. He is a player that's opting out. Boogie Cousins is not gonna play. His is more so he's been hurt.
Yeah.
Um, there's a few players. There's a few players that are actually opting out. There's Davis Burtons from or Bertans from Washington Wizards. There's Trevor Reese is basically the face of this right now. But his is the visitation order for his son.
Mm-hmm.
So his is more so a personal and
Okay.
versus like what a lot of players want to do as far as sit out. And it's some player it's literally 50-50 on the players that want to sit out. They just don't know.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, you have LeBron obviously. I don't want to say he's leading the pack because he's just the face of the organization, but he's voiced his opinion a lot. And I like that these guys are not just shutting up and they're not just dribbling. I think that's the most important here because it is about, you know, it's not all about sports. It's above and beyond that when it comes to livelihood and
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, the social injustice. But yeah, there's definitely. I mean, the expectation is a few players are going to hold out. I know Trevor Ariza is one of them, and you got to think too. Some of these players, like the chances of them even making the playoffs, is like slim to none.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to want to play.
Mm-hmm. I think it was Cousins because he tore his ACL. I think
Yeah,
he.
Cousins is not.
I, I just remember seeing someone get or like a lot of crap talk to them because they're sitting out. I didn't know if they were on a team or not, but I know that they did have two like ACL surgeries in the past, and they're a free agent, so they want to get the money. They don't want to risk playing that. Let's see
Yeah,
what happens
that's
with that. I also think that the NBA, I don't know if they've officially agreed to anything, but I have seen people a little worried about the restart. Like if it's even going to happen.
yeah, it's yeah. There's a bunch of players who, well, you got health concerns for one. Nikola Jokic just got he I guess tested positive last week for coronavirus while traveling. He got, so he's been asymptomatic. There's no symptoms to him. He's fine, but protocol. And that's, I think, the biggest concern moving forward, not just with the NBA, it's with the MLB, the NFL too, which is the most contact sport, um, is the health concerns. And I think if done right, I think they could be okay. But, that mixed with what we're seeing in the news, what we've been seeing in the news recently with the protests, and um, some players just would rather not play. And
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't want to say that there's a battle within the league between players. Like, it's not, oh, you have to do this or you have to do that. I think it's just a matter of, they should just come together and determine what is the best option. And I mean, if they choose to wait, then they should wait. I mean, obviously there's I don't want to call it a consequence, but if you don't play, you don't get paid. That's how they're
Yeah.
doing it, right? So they always have to weigh that out, and it's not just for them. There's the benefit of playing and getting money to help, these the communities in need. There's different, Minneapolis and different communities, with that are, you know um in need. So, and they can help them with that money. So
Yeah.
there's always two sides to it. Hopefully they end up playing, but that's just me speaking as a fan.
Yeah.
Um, and missing sports, and seeing LeBron go for his fifth title,
Fourth.
hopefully winning I'm sorry, his fourth title. He wish should I don't want to talk about the year against the Warriors. That Never mind. So he would be going for his fourth title. Anthony Davis would have the player option. So it'd be interesting to see what happens this season that might dictate what happens with Anthony Davis. Because we know there's always drama around LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here for the drama.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely excited to see what's going to happen with basketball. We'll probably find out more news. As of now, it's starting end of next month as well. And then the regular season will pick up sometime in August. And then, yeah, I think that's it for all the sports news for today. Biggest news, baseball's back. Super
It's back.
excited. They finally agreed. 60-game season, as we said. And it should be normal. It's just they're going to be playing without fans.
Playing without fans, yeah. But we saw in the Korean Baseball League, they did pretty well with that. I'm excited if the opportunity arises where we can go to a game. I will risk it and go to a game. And let's go Southsiders.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how they do. Well, and the boys,
We'll
but
see. I'm excited, just, yeah, for any Chicago teams at this point. So,
that's pretty
all
much
right,
gonna do
guys.
it. You want to close it out?
Until next week. I was gonna say, everybody listening, if you liked what you hear, if you like what you hear, go ahead and download. You can like us on Instagram or on Twitter. You can follow us, I should say. We're on YouTube. You can subscribe, download. That we can't stress it enough. Viewers, we love everybody who tunes in and shows love, but the true only way that we can see the love being shown is through downloads. That's like a view to us. So
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do is hit the download button. We'd appreciate it. You can leave feedback. You can leave comments. Of course, we like to stay interactive in social media as well. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube as well. Leave some comments in the YouTube videos. Right now, we are both remote. Video quality is not high definition, I wouldn't think, because we're recording remotely. But if you like what you see, if you recommend anything, let us know.